This is IGN.
Project Cars 2. This is your IGN review of Project Motor Racing by Luke Riley. I'm parked at the back of the grid on Mount Panorama, awaiting the race start, and there are cars ahead of me literally facing backwards. This is not going to go well. As you'd expect, pandemonium ensues when the lights go off. The race has just begun and it's already a mess. Unfortunately, this is Project Motor Racing in a nutshell right now. On paper, Project Motor Racing is precisely the sort of racing game I want to play. It has a great selection of cars, a number of which are thoroughly underrepresented in modern racers. It's also not crippled with free-to-play chicanery or subject to a monthly subscription, and its focus isn't primarily multiplayer. All of this is high-octane music to my ears. In practice, however, Project Motor Racing simply hasn't worked out, and I've totally bounced off it in its current state thanks to AI that essentially ignores your presence on track, a hopelessly uneven penalty system that serves only to frustrate and ruin your races, and its array of bugs and peculiar physics quirks. Project Motor Racing arrives as a spiritual successor to Slightly Mad Studios' now defunct Project Cars series, which failed to survive the Codemasters acquisition of Slightly Mad and the subsequent EA purchase of Codemasters. There may be some different logos on the loading screen, sure, but developer Straight 4 Studios is basically a rebirthed Slightly Mad after someone hit the VIN with an angle grinder. Perhaps more specifically, it's attempting to pick up where Project Cars 2 left off, brushing aside the bafflingly casual reinvention of the series in Project Cars 3. If you need a comparison to chew on, it's a little like how Jaws 4 ignores the events of Jaws 3D. Unfortunately, just like Jaws 4, things get real fishy real fast. To be fair, Project Motor Racing's single-player setup has a good base, and I do like how malleable it initially is, with 3 starting budget figures that give us the flexibility to approach the career mode however we choose. That is, you can select to begin with just enough cash to scrape into the entry-level categories, or a wallet big enough to buy any car on offer and head straight to the top classes. It's smart that it has these options. There are actually slots to have 3 separate careers on the go simultaneously, so it's possible to experiment with multiple approaches, or, in my instance, for my sons to dabble with their own career saves without messing around with mine, an underrated addition to any racing game. The racing is frustratingly close to being entirely decent, but it's currently completely undermined by its aggressively oblivious AI and its brazenly unfair penalty system, both of which are so annoying I have no desire to keep playing at the moment. The big problem with the AI is that they regularly drive like you're not on track. I'm not just talking about them coming across on you when you only have a slight overlap and probably got optimistic sticking your nose in there in the first place, although they will do that, and watching the replays exposes that they'll do so by sometimes clipping through your front end like you're a ghost. I'm talking about the absolute argy-bargy that occurs when you're right alongside them and they want to carry on sticking to the racing lines like freight trains, so they thump into you with zero regard for your existence. It certainly doesn't help that it currently features no radar or proximity indicators for the cars around you, and no spotter either. Right now, Project Motor Racing feels like an early access game that hasn't actually been identified as such. There are certainly glimpses of a competent racing sim here, but it is drastically unfinished. With time and its mod browser, I sincerely hope it can be fashioned into something that can fill the void left by the long delisted Project Cars 2, but it's an entirely mediocre single-player racing experience for now. Project Motor Racing may have positioned itself as the heir to the Project Cars 2 kingdom, but it is simply not a better racer than its 2017 ancestor. Project Motor Racing's IGN score? 5 out of 10. Thanks for listening to IGN. My name is Tony Jackson, and for the latest Project Motor Racing updates, visit us at IGN.com.
Spoken Layer.